which is always a good thing to have. But yeah, Peter. So obviously England wrapped up a 3-0 win against the West Indies in the ODI series. Pretty comfortable, apart from probably the second match when we basically had Joe Root dig us out of quite a big hole. Other than that, it seemed pretty comfortable. I think it was a case of I think it was a good chance for some of these England players to kind of get a bit of form in the one day games because it's no secret that the ODI team for England, and I guess to some extent the T20 team as well, haven't really enjoyed the best of times recently. So it was probably quite nice for a lot of them to get some games under their belt and to come out with a comfortable series win. I mean, Peter, what were your sort of overall thoughts of the series? Was it sort of similar, like it seemed pretty comfortable, or have you got a different perspective?
No, it was comfortable. I mean, I guess the last time we were speaking about the ODI team was from the Champions Trophy and the disaster that was the Champions Trophy. So it's nice to be relatively positive about the ODI team. I mean, I think West Indies were or are, a shadow of what they used to be, and yeah, it was pretty comfortable. I think their runs on or in the second test were helped quite significantly by England being quite sloppy in the field. Yeah, I think they dropped quite a few catches. Ben Duckett may have had one of the worst days I've seen of a professional cricketer in the field. I think he dropped two. He had a run out chance where he elected to throw it to the other end when if he'd throw it to the bowler's end, the batter would have been out by about a million years. So there were a lot of good stuff in that for Ben Duckett, and then he got a duck as well. He got a duck as well. So thanks for coming. Definitely went to Ben Duckett in the second ODI.
It's it was a sort of day where if that happens in village, you just you just get abuse, and you'll be the butt of jokes until the next time you play cricket. I don't know if that's the case at international level. I hope it is. I hope they
I
get the
hope so.
same sort of rollicking as what we get if we did a. I mean, I'm pretty sure last season I got a duck and dropped a catch on one day, and that didn't feel great, and that was playing in the Northamptonshire League Division 11 or something. That wasn't international cricket. So yeah, I hope he got plenty of abuse.
Yeah,
Not in a mean way. Just it's only fair, Ben. Come on.
yeah, yeah. You came from village cricket, Ben, and expected it with
Exactly.
England as well.
Remember where you came from, Ben.
But yeah, it was. I think it was interesting that we had quite a from what we've had in the past from in terms of our ODI bowling attack. I felt that it was quite a new attack. Braden Carse and Saki Mahmood, should I say? Sorry, and Matty Potts. All these guys, they're names that if you're familiar with cricket, you've seen about because they've played for England a few times. But my dad, who sort of half follows sometimes, particularly the ODI team, we were watching the first ODI together, and he was saying, "I don't recognise half these names." And I think that reflects the fact that England are on a path now in a new way. We're moving on from what realistically not Ben Duckett. I've got him on my mind here. Joss Butler, completely different person. Well, I think Joss Butler's time as captain was a little bit the shadow of Owen Morgan's, and every single time that Joss Butler did something because of his connection, his vice captaincy with Owen Morgan, I think there was a link back to 2019 and everything that happened before then, and it almost feels like we are now out of that shadow and we're in a new, particularly because it's McCullum's first ODI series at home, a bit of a new regime, new way forward, similar to what happened in 2015 when we were resetting under Owen Morgan all that time ago. What were your thoughts on some of the newbies and the new tactics? Jamie Smith opening the batting, that's a new thing from this series. Did you think it paid off for you?
Yeah, I think it did. I think I've seen him before, and I've sometimes thought, he looks like he's got what it takes to be an international opener. I think with the greatest respect to the West Indies, it was probably a good chance to kind of give him a go opening. And I think, other than obviously, I think 2 games out of 3 looked, looked pretty comfortable. Looked like you could score runs pretty easily. Also looked like he could kind of rein it in a bit if needs be. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think there was plenty of positives to not just from Smith, but I think just in general. I think there was you could see there was a lot of new things what were tried, and first series of this. It feels like every other series it's some sort of new era with England at the minute, but this particular chapter of the new era, um, I think it went well. I think it was a good workout. And I think more importantly, I think it's just another reminder of just how important Joe Root still is to that team. That, there's plenty of quality around him. We saw in the third ODI that a lot of the players around him got runs as well as Joe Root, but it was the second game where it was like a throwback to that Test year where basically Root got like he got so many runs, but England overall did quite badly, and it's like it would have been a lot worse if we didn't have Joe Root there. It was a bit of a throwback to that, and it was just a reminder of if anyone kind of thought that he couldn't do it at ODI anymore, that's kind of put it to bed really, because I mean it was just such a good innings to watch. I mean to be not out as well, when things were kind of above and below and things were sort of falling apart.
Yeah.
He stuck around, and he looked like he could have just batted all day. And most importantly, he looked like he was just absolutely loving his time out in the middle. And I know we know that we know that when he gets going, he loves batting. He loves being in the middle. He loves kind of taking bowlers on and leading from the front. But yeah, it was nice to kind of see that for the first time this summer, and hopefully the first of many times this summer.
Yeah. Well, he in that second innings as well. Not only did he steer England to victory on his own pretty much, but he also went past Owen Morgan's record for most runs, ODI runs. So he has the highest tests. He has the highest ODIs. He's very much so cementing himself in just being a legendary status, someone that people will talk about, um, you know, years after his retirement as was one of the greats for England. And he's a linchpin for this team. I don't want him to burn out, but I still think there's space for Joe Root in T20 as well. But you know, I think it's right that we have a bit of a break after we talked about this relentless schedule that England have.
Yeah,
What were your thoughts on the England spin attack? We have Adil Rashid. We know what Adil Rashid can do. England sort of went for Will Jacks at 7 and a bit of Jacob Bethel, who also, by the way, was incredible in the first ODI. That innings that he played was a determining factor in pushing England into a score that the West Indies simply couldn't cope with. But yeah, Will Jacks was at 7. Jamie Smith at the top. Will Jacks, who has opened in the past, stepping down into the lower order. Do you think it worked? Do you think it's something that again we kind of tested because the West Indies are not quite what they used to be a few years ago?
yeah, I think it is. I mean, it was just a chance to um, try it out, really. And I think also it goes to show just how sort of fluid some of these players are. And I think it kind of goes to show that the modern one-day game, and I mean just modern cricket in general, how sort of fluid you have to be in terms of. I don't think I think a lot more players now aren't sort of they're not nailed into a position for their whole career. I think the fact that you had Jacks, who has opened the batting for England, the fact that you've had him, had him down at 7, and obviously the fact that Jamie Smith has opened the batting and has played down at sort of 6, 7 before, just kind of goes to show, yeah, the kind of the fluidity of international cricket now. And yeah, I think it was a good chance to see what works and see what doesn't. I think Jackson and Bethel are both they're both proven that they're very good with the bat, and they can also come on the ball and cause issues. And I think in ODI cricket in 2025, you sort of need that. You need basically you need as many sort of genuine all rounders in a team as possible. And if you look at that, the England team, there's only really, I'd say, two or three players who are either nailed on, like, you will bat or you will bowl. And I think it's just the way it is, really. I mean, it's sort of been grown this way gradually for a while, but I think under McCullum, I think it's where England kind of were always going to head. Really, I think it's going to be a case of, I think ideally McCullum would love an 11 of all rounders, because then he can just go. We're just going to keep the opposition guessing. We don't know who's going to bat where or who's going to bowl when, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's exciting, and it's the way forward, really. And I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing just what other sort of. I think we'll do the same in the T20 twice. I think there'll be sort of experiments made where you sort of go, okay, that's interesting, but we'll see how it goes. I think that's just going to be a lot of our white ball cricket this summer will be like that, because they're probably kind of going, we have a lot of wrongs to put right, so why not just have a play around and see what works, really, so, like, find out what's successful and what's not.